it's Kristin, and I thought I would try something new today. I've mentioned this in a couple of videos that I was going to do it, so here it is, and you have to let me know what you think about it. I am trying a new recipe today, one that I've never tried before, so I thought it might be fun to go ahead and cook it with you. I've prepped everything, obviously, and kind of talk you through some of my thought pattern as to why I did some of the prepping. And then I will go ahead and make it, come back and show you what it looks like when it's done. And then I'll come back and tell you in the same video, obviously, what I would do differently the next time. Because frequently I will make a recipe, not frequently. When I make a recipe, I will make it the way it says the first time, and then I will do some adjusting to it the next time. So I thought that maybe that's what I would do, and maybe you would find that helpful. So this is what we're gonna do. A friend of mine from work made this beef stew recipe. My husband and I have been looking for a great beef stew recipe for quite some time. So she brought me in a little bit of it. It was awesome. So I asked her for the recipe, which she gave me. I don't remember actually where she got the recipe from, but anyway, that's what I'm doing. So it simply is, it's called oven beef stew because you make it in the oven. So you want to preheat your oven to 250, which I have not done yet, but I will. Let's, for the sake of the video, pretend that I did. And then I cut all this stuff up ahead of time. So the recipe called for 3 potatoes cut up into bite-sized pieces. Now I used baby red potatoes because we prefer those. I prefer the flavor. I think they hold up better in this sort of thing, like in a crock pot as well as in an oven. So I ended up doing 9 baby red potatoes. I kind of picked 3 that together looked like they would be one size of a russet potato, for instance. It calls for 6 carrots, so I have those all chopped up here. It also calls for 6 stalks of celery, and so I have those. That'd be my phone telling me that there's a game on. Sorry. 6 stalks of celery all cut up here. And then 1 onion. And so that's the base to it, and then 2 pounds of stew meat. So I'm going to go ahead and cut open the stew meat and get that into, you bake this in a 9x13 pan. I have chosen my Pampered Chef stone. We really I truly believe, and again, I have never, nor do I ever plan to work or sell Pampered Chef, work for or sell, but I am a firm believer that the stone makes a difference in flavor. Someday I'll tell you that story. So I'm going to dump this in here. Okay, so I've dumped those in here and I've taken off my jewelry because I'm gonna kind of get down and dirty with my hands here because I feel like that's the best way to do this. So I'm just gonna spread these out a little bit. And it says just to season the meat as you would like to. So I'm going to do a little bit of pepper. I'm going to do some onion powder, and I don't measure this sort of thing. I just kind of, eyeball it, as Rachel would say. I'm not as cool. And then rather than just salt, I'm going to use some seasoned salt. And try not to get too crazy. Because after all, one of the reasons I want to make my own beef stew is because when you buy beef stew, maybe I'm the only one, but I love Dinty Moore beef stew. I think it's awesome. And then I'm just going to work the seasoning into the meat here. But any kind of stew that you buy from the store, prepared stew, is going to be chock full of sodium. Alright, I'm going to wash my hands and come right back. Okay, so I have the beef in here now, and I'm just going to dump in the potatoes. And hopefully you can see, and I'm not fancy enough to be able to have somebody zoom in for me, but I've cut all of the vegetables pretty much to the same kind of size so that they will cook at the same rate. That makes sense? So that's kind of a little tip, anyway. I think it's a tip. Would have been helpful for me to know that a long time ago. Mr. Potato. And a piece of salt. Ooh. I don't know if I mentioned, but I think I did. 1 onion. I have an onion chopped up in here. So I'm going to, again, I'm going to mix this with my hands so that they're all mixed together. Okay, so the recipe calls for 1.5 cups of vegetable juice. So I happen to have low sodium V8 on hand, and it calls for 1.5 cups, which I'm pretty sure is a can because 8 ounces is a cup, right? So I'm just going to dump that into a measuring cup so it's easier for me to pour once I'm done. And I gotta say off the bat, this seems like not enough liquid to me. But you know, the vegetables have liquid in them. So I'm gonna verify that I'm right. Why do you guys watch me? Okay, and then it calls for 2 teaspoons of salt to go into that. So there's salt, and that's why I use the low sodium. And again, we'll come back and I'll tell you whether you can eliminate some more of the salt. So 2 teaspoons of salt. And then 3 tablespoons of tapioca. And I don't like tapioca pudding, but some people do. But so tapioca is sold in a little box like this. It looks like a little mini minute rice box. So I'm going to measure out 3 tablespoons, and they're little round things. That's close enough. And 1 tablespoon of sugar. Now, I'm pretty sure that the sugar is in there to kind of take down the acidity of the tomato in the tomato juice. Fairly certain, I could be wrong. And I'm just going to grab a fork and mix that up. You can get all fancy schmancy and grab a little mini whisk, but I'm just going to grab a fork. I didn't want to dig out my whole big sugar thing, so I just used the, when guests come over, sugar thing for the coffee. So whenever I'm cooking, I always take a rundown of my recipe one last time to make sure that I haven't forgotten anything. So that's a little tip for you. And I haven't, and so this is all the liquid that's going into this big 9.5 stone. So we will see how that goes. And but it was pretty. The taste that I had was pretty. Or the sample, I keep wanting to call it a sample, that my friend brought me. It was very good and had plenty of like gravy in it, so hopefully we'll be okay. So I'm just gonna zhuzh it around a little bit with the spoon. Oh, I fly some celery out there, and just to make sure that the sauce all kind of got mixed in there. And it did. All right, so now it says just to simply cover it in foil, and you want to cook it, not top while I'm doing foil. You want to put it in the oven for, it says 4 hours. When my friend made it, she said it took 5 hours. So when I asked Bob what time he wanted to eat, I told him to pick a window. Would you like to eat between 4 and 5, or would you like to eat between 5 and 6, so I knew what time to start it? So I'll report back on that as well. So I'm going to put this in the oven, and again, you want to cook it at, make sure I'm right, yep, at 250 for 4 hours. And I think I will probably do 2 hours, and then I'll probably pull off the foil and stir it, put the foil back on, and stick back in there. So I will be back later and report back to you with how things are going. Okay, so this is 2 hours in, and you can see there's a lot of juice there. I just thought, the recipe doesn't say that, but I just thought I would take it out and stir it up a little bit. There's a little bit of an issue in the fact that I never turned the oven on. And so we're a couple hours behind here at the Game household. But anyway, 2 hours in, that's what it looks like. Okay, so this is after 4 hours, and we are calling this done. I did actually turn up the heat a little bit, but that's because of the little delay that we had. So, yeah, looks good, smells good. The whole house smells really yummy. We are going to serve this up, and then I will come on camera, even though I don't have any makeup on, and tell you what I think about it. And we'll see what Bob has to say about it, and we'll go from there. Okay, honey, so what do you think of the oven beef stew?
Very delicious.
So I told them that I did it by the recipe this time, because you know how I always make by the recipe the first time and then adjust anything. Now, having eaten it, I don't think I would adjust anything, would you?
Nope.
Yeah, I don't think so either. So I am pretty happy with it.
Yes.
Wait, now say that again.
It's a winner.
It's a winner. Okay, so I thought I would just do a little bit of a rundown for you guys. This is the morning after, but that's because after we were done eating, I had my makeup off and everything, so I think I made reference to that. So a couple of things I just wanted to touch on with the stew. I forgot, as I mentioned, I forgot to turn the oven on. So I went to stir it after 2 hours thinking to myself, I'm surprised I don't smell this in my kitchen. And that would be because the oven wasn't on. So what I did was crank up the oven to 275. I didn't want to go too crazy because I didn't want the meat to get, you know, tough or dry. I don't think that I could have. I probably could have even cranked it to 300 and done it for a shorter period of time. But after 4 hours in a stone, which can make a difference, at 275, the stew was done to perfection. Everything was tender, but not too mushy. And it was really, really very good. Now, Bob said he wouldn't change a thing. The only thing that I would change is I think at the point in which you put in the 2 teaspoons of salt, next time I would drop that down to 1 teaspoon of salt. I think that would have been sufficient. And then if somebody really wanted to add a little more, they certainly could do that themselves. I feel like the seasoned salt that was on the meat, plus even the low sodium, but the sodium that was in the V8 juice was plenty. There was plenty of juice. I didn't have any issues with that, or, you know, to make the gravy, as you could see in the thing. So I think, as Bob says, it's a winner. So we definitely are going to keep that in our arsenal of recipes, and that's the beef stew recipe that I think we will use going forward. So I'm curious what you guys thought of this. Did you like the kind of, you know, cook it along with me for the first time sort of thing? I'm entitling this just to Cooking with Kristin Beef Stew, but I'm curious because this is a different kind of segment where I'm trying a recipe for the first time. Help me come up with a creative name for that segment, would you? You guys are smart cookies, and I could use a little help. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this. Any questions, comments, constructive criticism, leave it below, and I will talk to you guys very soon. Bye!